Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me on Berets. Haven't made a video for a little while, but you know, I work pretty much a full-time job outside of this, so it's some days, you know, I just want to take it easy, relax. But the relax period is coming to an end for both Global and JP because we are getting into double raids. That's right, a raid on both Japan side as well as Global, and let me tell you, I enjoy raiding! But really, I think it's actually going to be pretty good time for both sides for the most part. With that being said, I am going to talk about the Japan side news first. Woo! Almost said that wrong. And yeah, we're going to talk about that first because I think it's important for globalers to hear about it and plan for the future. And to that extent, yeah, this is going to be. While the global raid is definitely going to be nice for a lot of global players, the Japan side one is just a tiny bit more important, I would generally say. So let's take a focus on that. And starting off on the Japan side, we are getting the King Behemoth raid. This is going to be a pretty tough fight, I think, because behemoths are known in Final Fantasy lore as being pretty darn tough creatures. And yeah, it is a raid, and so, you know, it's designed to be beaten and everything, but what is the big reward? Why have I deemed this more exciting than the global side raid? Well, it's because the King Behemoth will have a UR weapon attached to it, and a very nice UR weapon. That'll probably be good on almost anyone who can use a katana. Side note for anybody, Orlando can't use katanas. Now, with that being said, a new character on the JP side, Laswell, well, it's his sword, the Purple Lightning, that will be a UR-based weapon. By playing the raid up to what I assume over level 100 will be what you need to get it pretty close to +4 or +5 awakened. It's going to be a really nice weapon. For anybody with Laswell, this weapon is going to be almost essential for him, unless you want to build a +5 outside of that, but honestly, I just think it's going to be a great weapon for you to get your hands on, potentially for other just samurai characters in the future. Don't turn down a UR weapon. So what are we looking at for this one? Well, the boss is going to be considered a dark type summon, or a dark type enemy, and obviously beast. So what you're looking at here is, well, obviously counter element to dark is light. And with that being said, he is going to be weak to piercing type attacks, as well as Beast Killer too. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a second here. But there's also a secret enemy. For those globalers who are not aware of this, when it comes to the JP side raids, we no longer have a single boss. You guys are still in the era of single boss possibilities. There is a rare boss in Japan raids that will be in the future global raids as well, which is, here we have, I do believe it's supposed to be like a Tonberry or a Flan or something, but it is a wind element and it is weak to slash type abilities, which is interesting. I do now want to double check that now that I said it in a video. But anyway, just while I'm totally not stalling for time, the wind element means that it will be weak to ice, and slash means that the secret enemy is basically perfect for Laswell. Laswell and Agrius will have a distinct advantage during the secret ones, but from my experience, the secret type raids don't show up that often, and when they do, it's just kind of like oh, cool, I get some bonus currency and whatnot, and that's about it. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. But yeah, Agrius will be a good investment. Like any slash-based character will be good. Click. I just want, yeah, okay, it is Tongberg, so it's a Tonberry. Its type is human, and it is the wind element. So with that being said, let's just talk really quickly about the amount of characters that are good for this raid, because the primary ones you're going to be fighting are the King Behemoth, and to that extent, I think that piercing is just going to be your main type. Now, really quickly as a side note, I do think characters such as potentially Ayaka, or if the thing wants to load a little bit faster, Kryl, will be totally suitable characters for this raid because of Holy. Holy, there's a chance that while he is magic resistant, Holy is still going to be pretty darn good, I think. Not 100% sure. It'll be until the raid comes out, since it's a new raid that I haven't played yet. Don't really know what's going to be the best. I think that the Holy element should be pretty good. Now, that being also said, since it is a light spear-based type enemy for its weaknesses, a totally viable unit would be Thancred, actually. Since Thancred has a subclass of Dragoon, he fits both categories. One, he's a UR character, has a lot of HP, he's pretty good on the defensive side, especially with the TMR spot on it. But also, besides that, just the light piercing type means that he is going to be very valuable. Also, possibly, potentially more meme-worthy is the fact that I think that Phoebe, wherever she is in here... Have you seen my Phoebe? Please call... Oh wait, can I just light? There she is. Phoebe is also a potentially interesting character as well, since she does have a Dragoon subclass. I don't think that she'll be able to really contribute that much, but you never know. Again, I'll keep an eye out for people who are using her on the JP side and figure out whether or not she's going to end up being good on it. But light elemental characters will have some kind of advantage here. How much depends on the boss's resistance, but he is definitely going to be at least somewhat light weak. Now, continuing back onto it, the amount of characters that I think are really, really good for this raid are pretty, I think that Venera with defense, any defense penetration character should be good. Most magic characters will be good unless he has a ton of magic resistance on him. I just don't think is going to be possible, but my number one pick for the JP side raid this week is going to be Victoria. Ice Elemental, yes, not necessarily his weakness, but an incredibly strong Dragoon that I think quite a few people have to the level that they can use her. Lassie is also a potential another character that could show up a bunch in the raid, but she is still pretty new, and I'm not entirely sure how many people have just gone all out for her. Either way, these are probably going to be the two most readily used characters in this raid, and that's fine. Both of them are really, really strong. The only other thing that I would put in terms of Victoria's advantage in her court is the fact that Victoria basically has her spear. Taking a look at the one spear that we've really been able to farm so far on the JP side, this spear does give ice benefit up as well as piercing up, and that's just going to make her attacks much better. But also, the other character that I think that a lot of people will be running is Laswell. Laswell has ice elemental resistance down in his kit, and hey, just look at that, he has a subclass with piercing style attacks. So you open the raid, you go in, you do ice resistance down so that other Victorias can do a ton of damage on this enemy, and then Laswell can just join in on the piercing attack style. There's a lot of different other characters that could be used. Eileen, old, but the strongest characters that I'm going to give recommendations to based on the equipment that is available is 100% Victoria and Laswell and Glassy. Those three characters are going to be the top characters for this raid. As for the sub one, I think Laswell will do really well against the Tonberry, but you probably don't have to worry too much because the Tonberry, if the Tonberry rates are anything like other rare raid boss rates, probably not going to see him that much. But it is also worth talking about Espers really quickly for the JP side raid, which will definitely be Siren. Siren has Beast Killer in her kit and Piercing up. The only thing she doesn't have is a ton of attack, but killers usually can make up for that. So I'm giving a big recommendation that if you haven't already, start training your spear users with Siren, because Pierce Attack Up and Beast Killer, yeah, she's the primary for this raid. As for Tonberry, any slash one, but I'll give a special recommendation to Odin because Human Killer, and I have him maxed. Okay, now now that I've ranted or talked about that for a little bit, there is a couple of other new things to talk about on the JP side. JP will be getting a story update, chapter 9-2, which sadly not 9-3, which will have more free lapis on it. We'll have book farming stages coming back. Nothing really surprising there. We're used to that by now. And a new banner. That's right, a new banner featuring a couple of things. First of all, Titan is here. That's right, Titan is going to be available on this new banner. So getting his card will net you the brand new summon. As in terms of just looking at Titan, this may be a hint to a future character, because normally they like to release a summon with a type of character of that type. So we could be seeing a brand new Fist user really quickly, because Titan seems to be an increase to that. Pretty nice looking character overall. We'll have to wait and see the full details. And a second one that seems to be based around party attack, or single character attack up and party critical up. This is just a better version of the N level vision card, the one that is the attack up. This gives a benefit and a benefit. It's only an MR, but it's overall probably going to be completely better. So this card is the new Bull Castle card. I actually don't remember what it is. So yes, there will be that banner. There will also be a step-up banner as well. The step-up banner of what looks to be a generally bad but fairly cheap step-up banner. 3 steps. Victoria, again, I think that she is the best one in the raid, and that for the raid, which is why we're seeing this raid step-up. You get some awakening materials to benefit, but it doesn't look like there is even a UR, and most steps are a smaller number of summons, so I am not giving this a super high recommendation. There will also be a guaranteed UR vision card summon. And other than that, mostly just continuing on as per usual. And yeah, that's going to be looking like it, unless some other news pops later, but it'll probably just be login lapis and all of that. So with that being said, let's move on to global. Hey, only 13 minutes in. Good job for me. Actually, you know what? Stay tuned for part 2 when I talk about global. No, you know what? We'll continue. I realized that would be a generally bad idea because of the bait switch. So let's talk about global really quickly. Global will be getting a story update as well, featuring Chapter 16-3, which has a couple of new characters in it from my remembrance, as well as just, since it's the end of a chapter, it will have some nice juicy rewards that global players are probably looking for to increase the amount of units they can awaken. There will also, of course, be the raid, which, for anybody who is wondering, it is the Chocolate Flan, who is, I'm just going to be totally honest, he looks like the Poo-Poo Flan to me. Of course, there are a couple of benefits from logins, purchasing lapis, and whatnot, and there will be a card banner on the global side as well to go with this raid, which is basically the Valentine's Day cards that we saw on JP. So it's, yeah, pretty much going to confirm the fact that the next raid for global should be the White Day raid, which is basically the same thing with another Flan boss. But both vision cards are generally nice for the current raid content, but not super needed. And with that being said, without posting too terribly much, the Choco Flan, from what I remember, was a really good raid for mages. I remember it being if I'm remembering correctly, it was Earth Element. It is geared very specifically to Lucia. So people who don't have Lucia are going to lose out a little bit on that. Frederica, another shooting type character. Well, she has the elemental disadvantage against Earth, even though she has the elemental or the weapon type advantage of shooting. But with that being said, most mages should be okay to bring against the Earth clan, like the Chocolate clan. He is not the worst boss in the entire world. Yeah, I would like to put out a message, and I'll probably make a separate video for this later, but don't be a global snob kind of thing about who you let into your rooms. Medinias are totally great for that fight with Flare and some AoE dealing with what I remember there being mob enemies in there that made the fight a little bit more difficult, but not as difficult as the challenge map that you'll have to fight later. Ayakas are also a pretty good one, so long as they have Holy unlocked, or any powerful Time Mage, including Miranda, are totally adequate for the raid. Even some slash damage dealers should be fine. Not great, but fine enough that you should be able to meaningful contribute to the raid. If there's one thing I'm going to pass on to Globalers, since this is your first raid, sometimes it is just way less beneficial to continually search through rooms, and kind of expect the first day raid experience to be a rough one. But again, I'm going to put that in a PSA video. So yeah, looking at it, Lucia users will definitely feel an advantage with this raid. But since this raid for Globalers doesn't have anything too particularly like, oh my god, I need to max this out, don't feel too bad if you have a little difficulty with your first raid on this one, because it's really not that big. Anyway, I've spoken my piece. I've said everything I've had to say. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Take care.